Again, my name is Rosa Villegas. I'm one of the education advisors in the International Student Center. Welcome. Today, we're going to be talking about F1 employment. If I have other colleagues in the meeting with us, if you guys want to introduce yourselves.
Hi, everybody. I am Kathy. I am also an educational advisor at the International Student Center. Welcome.
Amy, are you there? Okay, so do you guys want to introduce yourselves and tell me your name and where you're from? You can just unmute yourselves.
Sure. Hi, I'm Selena. I'm in my second year at PCC, and I'm an architecture major. I'm from Germany originally.
Welcome. Anyone else?
I'm Hari. I'm a first year product design student, and I'm currently studying in England.
Okay, so welcome everyone. We're gonna get started. I'm gonna share my screen so I can share the presentation that we have prepared for you. Again, if you have any questions, feel free to type them at the in the chat and I will answer them, or we will answer them at the end. So today's presentation is how to work as an F1 student, and it's presented by our office, the International Student Center at Pasadena City College. Our agenda for today is F1 employment eligibility, F1 employment benefits, types of employment, and resources that are available to you as an F1 student or as a student in general at PCC. I'm gonna ask a quick question, so if you can please answer this question for me. So the question is, did you know that you can legally work with your F1 visa status? So answer yes or no. Okay, very good. So it seems like you all know that you can legally work. So today we're going to be talking about how and what types of benefits you have and the requirements for that. So eligibility for F1 employment. In order to be eligible to work, you must be in status and maintain all F1 regulations. What does it mean to be in status? So in order to be in status, it means you're following all the rules, you're registering full-time for spring and fall, because those are required semesters to maintain your F1 status. Also, you have to remember that all types of employment require authorization. Some authorizations may be given to you by the International Student Center, while other types of employment require authorization from U.S. Citizenship and Immigration Services. And I'll be talking about them a lot, so I'll be calling them USCIS for short. Each type of employment has a specific requirements, and that's what we will cover today. And if you're approved for employment, something that you have to remember is that you still must follow all of the F1 regulations during your employment period. So remember to enroll full-time, remember to update our office with changes, and any questions, remember our office is here to support you throughout the process. And you will be thinking, so what are the benefits of me working in the US? So one of the benefits is that you're gonna meet other students, staff, faculty, and community members For example, in the department that you work in, you may have members that come from the community to do presentations. And so you'll have the opportunity to meet, talk to them, and learn about the community. You are also gaining work experience. You're not only going to be focusing on learning your classes, you in classroom or now virtually doing your classes, but you're actually going outside and practicing what you're learning in your classes. You're building social and professional networking. As I say earlier, you're going to be meeting more people than just your classmates or your teachers. If you're working, you're going to be involved in more activities than you will normally do. So you're going to be networking and meeting professionals, perhaps related to your major or any other major that in the future, it might make you of interest, or maybe if you're not sure of your major, then if you consider it changing it as you meet more people, you can ask questions and, well, how do you like your major? What do you do with your major? So you start focusing and learning more by networking. You're also building up your resume, because I have students that come to meetings with me and say, but Rosa, I don't have any experience working. How do I build up a resume? Well, remember, you have skills. Your skills, you can put them in the resume. For example, most of you are bilingual. You know a language other than English. That's a skill that you can use. We have students who are tutors in the campus. So the fact that you speak a second language, that's gonna help you perhaps land a job on campus, perhaps just meet other people that you can help with. And also that's something that you can put in your resume. Even though you don't have work experience, you can put your skills. You're organized, you know how to use computers, you've been using Zoom or other platforms for your virtual classes. So those are all skills that you have that you can apply in a workplace. And that's how you create your resume. And last but not least, you're making a little bit of extra money to help your parents with your tuition for yourself, so you can enjoy the extra cup of coffee, expensive coffee that you may wanna, so it's extra money that you have. Let's move on because it's a lot of information. So there are various types of employment that you are eligible as an F1 student. We have what is called on-campus employment, and we also have what's called off-campus employment. Under off-campus employment, we have curricular practical training, CPT for short, optional practical training, OPT, severe economic hardship, and volunteer work. So let's talk about on-campus employment. So on-campus employment means, again, to be eligible, you have to be in valid status. So for those of you who are outside the US, you may think, well, I'm not eligible to work. But if you're a continuing student and you maintain in status, once we return to campus, you can look for on-campus employment. Or we have some students that are able to do on-campus employment from outside the US, depending on the type of job that you're doing. You must continue to be enrolled in 12 units to be eligible for on-campus employment. Something to remember is that while you're working on campus during school session, fall and spring, you can only work up to 20 hours, part-time job is considered. However, if the department that you work in is open during the winter and summer sessions, and they offer you a job, if they have more than 20 hours, you are eligible to work for more than 20 hours. So it depends on you and the department, how much you can handle, what is the availability of the department, how many hours are they offering you, and then you balance your schedule. So it's up to you. You know yourself better than I do. So you're the one that said, maybe winter and summer, I don't want to take any classes because it's optional, but I'd rather work. So if the department offers you hours, you don't have to be enrolled during winter and summer to work. But you do have to be enrolled during fall and spring full-time to be eligible to work. So those are the things that you will consider and that you have to know on your own person. What are you available to do? What are you capable of doing? Can you manage work schedule and class schedule? And remember, your F1 visa status is your priority, and your F1 visa is a student visa. So always, always maintain your full-time enrollment. And now you're thinking, well, how do I apply for on-campus employment? The first step is for you to secure a job. And how do you secure a job? You're gonna have to be asking all the departments on campus and see if they're hiring student workers. If they do offer you a position, they have to give you a job offer letter. With the job offer letter, you also submit a letter request to our office so that you can receive authorization from our office. Remember, we said all types of employment need authorization, so even on-campus employment needs authorization. Some of you may still need to apply for a social security number because this is your first job with the F1 visa. So we will let you know the procedure to apply for the social security number, but you will have our letter supporting you to apply for the number. If you're a transfer student who has already worked in the US and already has a social security number, you do not need to apply for a new one. Once you have a social security number, you use the same one throughout your time in the US. Some tips on how to look for employment on campus. So as I mentioned earlier, you have to create your resume. And a very important department that you may want to stay in touch with is the Freeman Career Center. They're located in IT 200. Right now, they're doing and providing all of their services virtually, but they have very good workshops on creating a resume, interviewing skills, and job search. And also, if you need advice, make sure you visit them about your career, about your major. They will also help you with that. You also need to contact the department to look for employment. If we were open on campus, I would say and recommend that you go in person. It's better that you talk to the person that is in charge of the department, that you hand them your resume. However, right now that's impossible because we're working from home. So you make sure you email them, follow up with a phone call, ask who's the person in charge of the department? How do I know if you guys are hiring student workers? You may think that because we're working virtually or from home that there is no employment. There may be limited, but there's still some students who are getting hired. Last month, I have 2 students that were hired. So we're in the process of, or they're in the process of applying for the social security number. So it is possible. Opportunities may be limited, but there are some opportunities. In fact, right now, Campus Police is hiring cadets. So if anybody's in the US and you're interested in still going to campus, even though it's closed for the most part, we have cadets that are maintaining the security of the campus, and Campus Police is hiring. So if you're interested, contact Campus Police. Also, other departments that have hired international students are Learning Assistance Center, the library, the bookstore, Math and Writing Center. Our own office has hired students in the past, and also the Pathways. So some of you are in the Pathways program. Stay in touch with your coaches. Make sure you show your interest to them and let them know you're interested in working. Some of you did the iJam during summer, and many of the people working in there are students, and some of them were JAM leaders that are international students. So opportunities are available. And now we move on to off-campus employment. Under off-campus employment, we have curricular practical training, CPT, optional practical training, OPT, severe economic hardship, and volunteer work. CPT, curricular practical training. We're gonna go over this rather fast because we have a workshop on Thursday about CPT. In there, we're gonna provide more detailed information, but just an introduction so you can start thinking about it. So what is CPT? CPT is a training opportunity for F1 students during your time at PCC. So you are enrolled, taking your classes, but you're doing also CPT if it's applicable to you. In order to apply for CPT, you must have been enrolled full-time for 1 full academic year at a DHS approved school. Meaning right now you're at PCC, if you already completed or are going to complete 1 academic year, you're eligible to apply for CPT. Versus on-campus employment where you can start on your first semester, this one you have to complete 2 semesters. It must also be an integral part of your curriculum. Your classes have to say that you have to do field work or clinicals in order to be eligible for CPT. And you must also have the job offer ready when you're applying for CPT. So you must have already secured the practical training. How do you apply? You secure the internship. So if you know that you're an architecture major and a firm is offering internships, make sure you contact to us. Make sure you show us the job offer letter so we can tell you if it's something that you may be eligible to qualify and apply. You have to be registered for a class that requires you to do field work or clinicals, for example, a nursing program, child development. Some of the child development classes require students to do field work. So that's already a given. You have to do it and you can apply for CPT. Good thing about CPT is that it can be paid or unpaid. So if you have a company that's willing to pay you for your internship or for your field work, that's even better. You submit the job offer letter to our office as well as the CPT request, and we can start the process. Same thing, if it's a paid internship, you're gonna need to apply for a social security number, so we will give you that letter supporting your employment and your application for social security number. Something important about CPT is that, again, you're gaining work experience before you graduate. So by the time you graduate, you have already worked in your field of study, you already have experience so that if you're going back to your country or you're staying in the US for your bachelor's, then you already have the experience. It takes a short time to get approved, and it's approved by a specific company and during a specific period. So you can apply multiple times, but you have to apply every semester or every time you register for the class or for the internship class. Let's move on to OPT. What is OPT? So OPT is a temporary training opportunity for F1 students. Again, it must be directly related to your major of study. So if your major of study is business, the OPT employment opportunity that you have has to be related to business. It cannot be working in a hospital unless the position is business related. You must, again, be enrolled full-time for 1 academic year with your I-20 inside the US. So your I-20 has to be active. So for those of you who are enrolled, even though you are enrolled full-time but are outside your clock starts counting when you enter the US. So once you enter the US, we activate your I-20, that's when you start counting for that 1 year, which means at PCC, 2 semesters. OPT opportunities are available before you graduate or after you graduate from PCC. So pre-completion OPT is you finish 1 year at PCC, but you feel that you want to get work experience, then you can apply for pre-completion OPT, meaning you're studying full-time and working part-time under pre-completion OPT. The second opportunity is post-completion OPT, meaning you're earning your associate degree this fall, you would like to work for 1 year. OPT is for 1 year. So you apply, work from 1 year for post-completion OPT after you earn your associate degree at PCC. And then once you finish your 1 year of OPT, you can transfer to get your your bachelor's degree. So OPT, you can apply 1 year per degree level. And again, we're gonna cover more about OPT in future workshops. So this is just the introduction. OPT, our office will help you throughout the process. We will recommend the OPT, but the final office that approves and processes your OPT application is USCIS. Unfortunately, I have to say that to apply for OPT, there is an application fee and the processing time can take from 3 to 5 months. Once you file, you're just gonna wait for USCIS to process your application. And unfortunately, we can't tell you exactly the time frame to process. Is usually 3 months, the shortest time we've seen, and it could take up to 5 months. But on the OPT workshop, we'll give you more details about it. How do you apply? If you're applying for post-completion OPT, you must meet with the academic counselor and file for graduation. So make sure you are earning a degree. Make sure your degree that you're earning is what's listed on the I-20. That's very important. Sometimes you come into the US, you thinking you're studying business. Throughout your time, you change your major to nursing, but we never updated your I-20. So make sure that if you change your major, that your I-20 reflects your current major. So again, you have to be earning a degree if you're applying for post-completion of PT. If it's pre-completion of PT, meaning you're still not graduating yet, you just apply after you finish 1 academic year. And same thing, make sure we have the current major of study on your I-20. For OPT, there is a long checklist. We will provide that checklist to you so you can prepare all the documents. There's an application that you have to complete. And the other documents are mostly copies of your immigration documents like your I-20, your passport, your F-1 visa, your I-94. But the checklist will be provided to you once you ready to apply, or it's in our website as well. Once you submit all the documents to us, you're gonna request for us to support your OPT application. If everything is in order, we're gonna issue what is called the OPT I-20. So it's the same I-20, but it will have an employment recommendation for OPT on the second page of the I-20. That's when you know you're ready to file. And then you file your application with USCIS. You're gonna mail it in. The process with our office usually takes about 10 days if you have all the documents. Once you mail your application to USCIS, that's when you will be waiting some time, perhaps 3 months, 4 months, depending on what USCIS takes. This is a great opportunity and many of our students do take advantage of it because they're gaining work experience. Also, if you're doing post-completion OPT, you're working for an entire year, and it's a full-time because you're changing from being a student full-time to working full-time. And there is no maximum of time that you can work. So if you want to work 60 hours per week and the company offers you that opportunity, take it. You can work for multiple companies. So one company give you full-time and you still want to work some more, then you can work part-time for another company. You can work for multiple companies. You can work outside of California. We have had students who move out of California to work, so that's also good. OPT is available for up to a year at the associate level. If you transfer to get your bachelor and you're in a STEM major, then you can apply for an extension. But at the associate level, you can do it for up to a year. Severe economic hardship. So as we all know, currently due to COVID-19 and all, so much going on in the world, there have been many students who express concerns about financial difficulty, about paying for tuition. So the government does offer a benefit that you can apply to work outside the campus and a job that is not related to your major and it's under severe economic hardship. Same thing as OPT, you have to have been in status for one full academic year. So for example, on your third semester at PCC, if you have experienced economic hardship and you feel like you're eligible and that you are willing to work and apply for it, then we can support your application. You have to prove that you have severe economic hardship by a cause or circumstance out of your control. We have students right now that are saying my parents are not working or are not working as many hours as they used to due to COVID-19, so they're not able to provide financially for my studies or resources are very limited. If you feel that you have enough evidence, for example, your parents can provide you with their pay stubs that shows a decrease in income from maybe 6 months ago to now, or 2 months ago to now, or they're being completely laid off and now there is very little or no income at all. That's something considered severe. That's something considered out of your control. So this is an opportunity or a benefit that if you want, you can go ahead and apply for it. Same thing, we will help you throughout the process. We will help you put together your application, but then USCIS process the application. So something that I do remind students is, I understand that you have a financial need right now. This is an opportunity. This is something that you're eligible to apply. However, you cannot start working until you have approval. And again, it could take 3 months, it could take 4 months, so it depends. But at least if you know this is gonna be something that is gonna be happening in the near future because it's gonna be difficult to have funds for your tuition, it's gonna be difficult to pay for your rent in the US, then maybe you wanna consider. There is an application fee associated with, but once you get approved, you can work up to 20 hours during the spring and fall. You can work more hours full-time during winter and summer. And there's no limit on the pay that you get. As long as you stay within your 20 hours, you can get a paying job that will pay you $20 an hour or more. It doesn't matter. So as long as you stay within part-time hours, then you're fine and you're enrolled full-time. Again, it's a good benefit that some students have taken advantage. The bad part is that you cannot immediately work until you get approved. How do you apply? First, we recommend that you meet with us so you can explain to us your situation, your current situation. We will say, yeah, you do have enough evidence, you have proof, let's go ahead and do it if you want to. We'll give you the checklist. Once you give us all your documents, we will issue the I-20 with the employment recommendation, and then you're ready to mail your application. As I mentioned earlier, once you do get approved, you're gonna get the employment authorization document from USCIS. You can work in any job that you find. Does not have to be related to your major, and it can be on campus, off campus, wherever you find the job. And it's approved for up to a year. Volunteer work. So you might be thinking, why will I want to do work that is not paid? It's volunteer. Well, volunteer work can help you build up your resume, can help you gain experience. Even though you're not getting paid, you're doing something good for your community. Typically speaking, volunteer work is for a nonprofit organization. It's work that you're doing for free out of the kindness of your heart. You're involved in a religious organization, nonprofit. You do have to remember that you must not receive any pay for it, and it does not violate any labor laws. So some type of volunteer work that you can do is, for example, go clean a beach, go read at the library for children or at a school, serve food to the homeless. Currently, there are many organizations looking for volunteers to distribute food to families. As long as you're not getting paid and you feel comfortable doing it, you're welcome to do it. You don't need approval from our office. You can just go ahead and do it. So again, you can add it to your resume. You can put it on your applications to college when you're preparing your personal statement. So that's where volunteer work becomes handy and useful. So I know I talk a lot, and some of this information that I'm providing today, it might be new to all of you. So I prepared a little chart that shows the most basic information for each type of employment. As you can see, for on-campus employment, you do require a job to apply. We only take 10 business days. There is no application fee. It's processed and approved by the International Student Center, and you can do it throughout your entire time at PCC as long as the department hires you. CPT, this, you do require to show us proof that you're being hired by a company. It could be in campus or outside. We only take up to 10 business days once you can provide us your application and your request. There is no application fee. The International Office Advisors approve the employment, and there is no limit. However, you do have to get it approved every semester or every intersession when you're registering for the class that requires the CPT, or when you're registering for the internship class. So if you're approved for fall, your last day of employment will be December 13, which is the last day of class, but you can apply again in the future, whichever semester you find the class or you're taking the class. OPT, you do not require a job to apply. Processing time is 3 to 5 months, same as hardship employment. There is an application fee, currently it's $410, but unfortunately, USCIS is gonna increase the fee to $550 beginning next month. Who authorizes employment? USCIS authorizes employment, and for OPT, it could be for 1 year. So as you can see, OPT and severe economic hardship are pretty similar. There's an application fee, it takes time to process, but there are good opportunities if you're interested. Just in short, we have a few resources at PCC. First and foremost, we always encourage our students to visit our office. Obviously, you cannot come to visit us right now, but you can email us. You can leave us a phone message. I put in the link to our website, but we can help you with any questions related to your F1 status, health insurance, employment opportunities, and we even have academic counseling through our office. The reason I put the Freeman Career Center is because I have mentioned them a lot. They're gonna be helping you with career counseling, career workshops, resume. They also have interview skills. So once you're ready to apply for works, if you have never interviewed for a job and you're nervous, you wanna know what happens during an interview, make sure you contact the Freeman Career Center and book an appointment or attend one of their workshops. They're very good about helping you with that. And they also help you with your job search. Online resources. I talk a lot about USCIS. Make sure that if you visit their website, you go to the uscis.gov. This is the official website. This is where you're gonna find the application for employment form. And once you apply, you can check online for the status of your application. Study in the States is a website that offers a lot of information for international students. It has the rules and regulations for F1. So real quick, I know we don't have a lot of time. Let me see if I can share my screen. So can you guys see the screen? This is USCIS. Over here, you can look for forms, the employment application form. Or if you go to study in the States, this is where you have a lot of information. So if you just click employment, do a search, it's gonna tell you basically everything that I've been talking about to you today, working in the States, on campus and off campus. So I believe those are good websites that you can get familiar with if you're interested in learning more about your F1. We also have upcoming events. Make sure you always check in our website for the events. We have the calendar of events and it's always updated. As I mentioned earlier, next Thursday, we have the CPT workshop. So for those of you who are interested, make sure you have registered for it, or you can go ahead and register. You can go to our website, pasadena.edu international, and then click on events. And this calendar, it's always updated with whatever events we have, workshops from our office, from other offices, or any type of event that we have. And we want you to stay connected with us. We have presented a lot of information. We're not physically on campus, but like I said earlier, we're a phone call away, we're an email away. We're always checking our emails and responding as quickly as we can. We're also active on our social media accounts. So any questions, make sure that you follow up with us. You may think, oh, it's a simple question, but if you're thinking about it, maybe it's worth asking for it, especially when it comes to your F1 status, to your benefits under your F1 status. Make sure you reach out to us. This concludes my presentation for today. Thank you so much for your time. I know this is a lot of information. Many of you expressed that you already knew that you can legally work with your F1 visa, but now you have a little bit more of information. So I will open it up for questions if you have questions.
Rosa?
Mm-hmm.
I was able to answer most of the questions, but I do have two I want to check with you. So
okay.
The first one was, can a student work a job that's offered outside of the US, but a student is inside the US?
It depends. If everything is gonna be like pay outside, if you're earning money, if the company is gonna pay you in US money, you have to get approved because it will be under, I don't know, if it's not related to your major, maybe it's under severe economic hardship, so it depends. I would recommend that you book an appointment with us because off-campus employment outside the US could be tricky depending on the logistics of it.
Second question, can a student work both on campus and off campus during CPT? I explained to the student that the CPT is approved for one specific employer. But what if the company has locations both on and off campus?
It's the same company, just in different locations. That's
So-
possible because we will report one place, so probably where the student will be doing most of the work, even though they may be sent to a second place one day a week or something. And as long as, I guess it's the same supervisor that is going to be in charge, because we will need the company's address and contact information of the supervisor to report to the I-20. So, and as long as they're maintaining 20 hours or less, I don't see a problem with it.
So if then it's two different employers, then that would not be allowed.
We could report both companies to employers, but the student has to understand that they cannot go over 20 hours. It's not 20 hours per company combined. It will have to be 20 hours or less. And it has to be, both of them have to be related. Just because we approve them for one that is strictly related to the student's major, any type of employment has to be related to the student's major under CPT. So both companies have to show and provide the student the letter so that we can see is related to the major.
Thank you. And if the student who asked this question still have more questions that want to get answers for, please make an appointment with us. Thank you, Amy.
I have put my email address in the chat. If you guys have questions, you can always email us or email ISO. Again, that was on the presentation. But, you know, employment, we want to make sure you protect your status. So it's a benefit, but any type of employment needs authorization. So we don't want you to be working what's called under the table, or because you have approval and you have your employment authorization card, your EAD card, make sure you're following your regulations.
I'm going to put our appointment link here for everyone again.
Do we have any other questions?
Not on my end. If you guys have questions, feel free to ask more. I believe we still have a little bit more time, right, Ms. Rosa?
Have until 1 o'clock if you have questions.
You can ask directly by unmuting yourself, or you can type it in the chat if you're more comfortable. Either way will work for both of us. So we have a question. So can I still work on campus when applying for CPT as long as it's under 20 hours per week?
Yes. But make sure you don't go over the 20 hours. Make sure you coordinate where you have your on-campus employment, how many hours are you working. That doesn't have to be related to your major. It can be any type for on-campus employment. But once you are applying for CPT, make sure that it's related to your major.
We have another question. So this student is currently, I believe, a stat tutor at PCC right now. His major is, I believe, business, and he is required to take stat 50. Can he apply to continue to work as a tutor for the stats class for OPT? Would that fulfill the requirement for OPT?
If you're a business major, when you're applying for OPT, I say the rule of thumb is like 80% of the classes that you completed, that job has to be related to 80% of your classes. If you're gonna be a tutor, yes, depending on what you're tutoring, but you also have to remember that OPT is full-time. Typically speaking, the college will hire you for part-time. So you'll have to find out from the department if they're willing to continue hiring you, because you're no longer a student worker. You're gonna be classified as an hourly person or temporary employee. So you're changing status from student worker to OPT employee. So the department has to do different paperwork. You cannot just continue being a student worker, because then that will not fulfill your OPT requirement. If the college does allow you to continue working and they're only giving you part-time, my recommendation will be to look for, continue searching for another part-time. Currently during COVID-19, the government has allowed to say that part-time employment, it's okay, but only so far during COVID-19. So once they change and they say we're no longer under COVID-19 regulations, temporary regulations, you are required to have a full-time job if you are working under OPT. And full-time job is really 21 hours or more. Mm-hmm.
Okay, I have another question from a student. Oh, Shen, do you have a question? I saw you unmuting yourself.
Yeah, so that is my question. So it means that to apply for OPT, it means that the job is had to 80% similar to what. So if I am staff tutor, so do I okay to apply for OPT? Say that it has to extend like similar to the major.
When you are applying for OPT, the job has to be directly related to your major. So if you're a business major, any type of employment that you do has to be business related. I didn't quite hear the second part of your question.
So I am a little confusing. So does that mean that because my major require me to take staff 50 and I want to tutor staff 50 for OPT, so does that requirement fulfill?
Again, that's just one class that you took. You can possibly do it and it will be fine, but my second concern will be, is tutoring gonna be not as a full-time job? Will the college give you a full-time job? And it depends how, because once you get approved for OPT, you have to write an explanation on how your job is related to your major. And it's up to you to use the keywords to explain. I'm tutoring stats 50 because when I was taking classes for my major, I took classes in this. That's just one class. So maybe possible, it's just how you connect it. How you connect your tutoring job to your business major degree.
Okay, I see. Thank you.
Okay, we have another question, and this question is pretty specific as well. So I have a student who is currently working as a writing tutor on campus, but the student wants to change it to CPT because the student wants to gain some experience with accounting related. So can the student change it? Can the student work both?
Well, the student can have both CPT and on-campus employment as long as they don't go over 20 hours. I didn't quite understand, what's the student's major?
Let me ask.
Because if the student wants to apply for CPT, they have to be registered for a class that requires field work, or they have to register for the internship class and prove that the work that they're doing under CPT is related to their major. So
The
my
student's major is business.
business. Okay, so business major, you're doing tutoring job. You can either find an on-campus job in business, or if you want to sign up for the internship class, because I don't think any classes in business require field work. So in this case, I will probably say it will have to be the internship class, and you have to have that job offer letter indicating that you are relating the job to business major. Mhm. It is possible.
It's just not as direct, right, as some of the other jobs and major.
Mhm.
Do both of you have any other questions that you would like Ms. Rosa to answer? We have about 5 more minutes. And again, if both of you feel like you want to talk to us more in detail, please feel free to make an appointment with us. Ms. Rosa is a guru in employment, and she's very knowledgeable. And I can also help. If there are any questions that I cannot answer, I will consult with Ms. Rosa.
And we're gonna, because the presentation was recorded, we're gonna post it on our YouTube channel. We will also send you the slides for your information. And remember, if you're interested in applying for CPT, we have the workshop this Thursday at 1 o'clock. And then the following week, we'll have the OPT workshop. So in those, we hope to provide more detailed information exactly about CPT, the process and the requirements, and as well as OPT process and requirements.
Okay, thank you. Have a good day.
You do the same.
Thank you for coming.
Thank you.
Bye.
Okay, Ni, come to our CPT workshop and you will get much more information on how to apply and what CPT is all about. Okay?
Thank you
Thank
for
you.
Mhm.